listening to Your Life Simplified, and we are back for part 2 of our topic on navigating spousal differences. Christina, again, is joining us. It's great to have you again.
Hello, Valerie. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So last time we were chatting, and for our listening audience out there, if you did not listen to part 1, I highly encourage it. Today, what we're going to be talking about is more of the softer side of finances, and really that the emotional tolls and attributes and blessings that come from us being humans and how that all plays in. And so specifically, we were really talking about last time are different ideas that we have for resolving some of those spousal differences. Again, listen to the first one for some really great ones. But Christina, let's jump in. Tell me, give me another idea that you have.
Yeah. Okay. So another idea that I have is, and it depends on the comfort level of the advisor, but there is
Mm-hmm.
this exercise that falls within the financial therapy umbrella. It's called money scripts. And it was created by a group of researchers. Brad Klontz is the leader of that group. And what money scripts are is they're unconscious money beliefs that rule our lives. And I say that dramatically because when you actually go look at like the exercise and do it for yourself, you'll realize how it really underpins how we navigate our finances unconsciously. It's kind of crazy. Have you heard of them before, Valerie?
Yes, I was going to say I actually only recently took one, and it's so I don't know, pervasive maybe, or it's just amazing, just how every little thing just leads into the way you perceive money.
Yeah, I guess I kind of liken it to like a personality test.
Yeah.
If you've taken like an Enneagram or something like that, and it just like pegs you to a T, and you realize how it just makes so much sense how you operate in your daily life and within teams and things like that. Money scripts that's how it relates to your personal finances, and so why it's helpful in the context of our conversation with navigating spousal conflict with finances is by understanding not only your money personality, but your spouse's money personality. It really helps. It helps to like soften the blow. It helps you understand them better. It helps you understand yourself better. And just that higher level of understanding makes it easier to navigate difficult conversations or things that aren't even at the conversation level. It's like maybe something that is irritating you beyond belief because it's a recurring issue. Once you sort of like pop the hood open and look at what's going on or why those things are happening, it's sort of just like lets the sun shine in, like at least you get to the problem is more exposed in its true light, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a free test that you can take online,
Yeah,
right? I
yeah.
think if you just like Google money scripts and like a script, like a movie script. But do you know which one's your like leading money script,
Yeah.
or is that what they call it? For you specifically, maybe, or if you want to just
Sure.
talk about
Okay.
your
So
favorite
just
one.
okay, yeah. I'll tell
Mm,
you. So mine is money vigilance. So there's 4 primary money scripts, and you can have multiple, but money vigilance is a common one for financial advisors and actually for financial advising clients because they're the more, so money vigilance is, it typifies the people who are financially responsible. They worry that they don't have enough. They want to save money at every opportunity. They think about how they should save versus how they should spend. So, and those type of people are attracted to working with financial advisors
mhm.
in order to gain, some edge on that. Um, and that's not to say that all clients are like that, because of course we have some that are more of the spenders. But sometimes that is maybe like one spouse in a couple relationship
Mhm.
or something like that. So yes, that is what I am. Do you happen to know yours?
Yes. So I have, like you said, there's two dominant ones, and money vigilance is one of them. But I guess ironically, maybe it's not so ironic, is money avoidance is my
Oh,
other
sure.
one. Yeah. And so, and you correct me if I'm wrong, because I think it's been a minute. But that means where I kind of sometimes get afraid of having money because one, I'm like, I don't deserve it. Like, I'm lucky that I'm just here. There's so many people in the
Hmm.
world that don't. And then I also sometimes worry, I'm going to become greedy or I'm going to become a bad person if I have too much money. And so I push it away. Am I describing that right?
You are absolutely describing that right. And it's normal to have two that are like active in your life, and so your
Hmm.
spouse may also have two, but just kind of getting to that like foundational value that you have is most likely really helpful to you, right? Just to be able to be aware of that.
Right. Yeah, no, I think so. And it's led to some interesting conversations with my husband, and just he's I don't know, he's an anomaly, which is probably why I like him so much, because he's so interesting. He's none of them. He has no leading
What?
indicator. Yeah.
Oh, he might be just balanced then. So
Yeah. Well,
none.
that's too much flattery. Don't say that.
Okay, okay, okay.
Just kidding. He is very balanced and I am a very extreme. So,
Eh,
but
well,
you
we
know
could.
what?
Mm,
No, I was going to say, we're probably going to run out of time if we try to
okay.
dive too deep into that. But let's just say you do have or let's say you've got two spouses,
Mhm.
and do you have questions or like things maybe you could suggest? That's really putting you on the spot, but
Oh, no, and again, I'm not a therapist, I'm in the same spot as you are, I'm comfortable around these questions, so, where I would start with that is, making everybody
hmm
first
hmm
aware that there's nothing wrong with them. It's okay, like, wherever you fall on the scale is okay, like, this is who you are, and we're all just wired differently. you know, People who are on the extreme ends of any of these four money scripts, they do tend to have like bigger conflicts that arise in life because they're on those extremes. So there's some work that we can do to, um, back to a better balance. But it's first just really important to make everybody comfortable with how they're wired, that the spouse that is the money avoider or the money status person, there's nothing better or worse about them than the person who's money vigilant. So that's the first thing I would say. And then the second thing that I think is would be helpful is to have each of the spouses explain a little bit about what resonates with them about their where they landed in the money scripts description. And so when you go to take that free assessment, it will ask you a whole bunch. There's an inventory list of questions. And so you'll see
mm,
it at the end and you'll be able to kind of reflect back on the questions. And you can talk about the questions that really stood out to you. Maybe there's something that you really noticed was formed when you were a child, maybe how your mother handled money or your father
mhm.
handled money. And you want to share that story. And that's probably something that your spouse has never heard about before. And just hearing that story, oh, okay. I That makes sense. I can
Hmm.
see like that maybe put some pieces of the puzzle together for me why you handle situations the way you do,
Yeah.
because that's the experience that you had or that's the way you were taught. So, you know, I hope that that sounds as simple as what I intend for it to sound, is just going over the questions that stand out to them and giving some context to this whoever is involved in the conversation as to why they answered the way they did.
Yeah, and I think what I like about that too is, we don't want to focus just on couples that are on the verge of divorce, right? Or
Yeah.
when everything's about to explode. We want to make this healthy throughout. And marriages or partnerships or any kind of unions they're all hard. And so these are great
Mhm.
conversations, I think, to be having, on your Friday night date, if you're a nerd like me, or and other times maybe when you're with your planner or something. I think that's a really great idea. It's like a pretty, I'm not
Yeah.
attacking you. We are simply going through an exercise together to learn about each other.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And the wealth manager, if they're comfortable, they can
Mm,
facilitate that. Like they can
yeah.
have them fill it out on their own, bring it to the meeting, and it can be discussed together. Or that can be something like you're talking about alone on a date night. Like, hey, this is something that we're gonna do together and discuss together, and the financial planner doesn't need to be involved. Maybe you want to share like the
Mm,
results with your financial planner, but doesn't necessarily have to be the case. It depends on your comfort level, and like we talked about in part 1, what sort of relationship do you have with your wealth manager?
right. Yeah. No, and I would love clients of mine out there. Love to have this conversation with you. Can't promise. And you know what?
Yeah.
I'll bring you in, Christina, because I'm learning just so much while being in this here for sure. Um, let's see. Do you have any other examples, another ideas, or where we can?
Yes. Okay. So I was going to call this one my favorite, but I like it. They're all my favorites. So another really good idea that helps me so much is called nonviolent communication. Have you heard of that
No,
before?
but that sounds very helpful.
Okay, so it's brilliant. It was developed by a guy, I think his name, I'm getting my Marshall Rosenberg, I think is his
Oh.
name, and he's passed away, but there's this whole movement of coaches that have been trained in this communication methodology,
Hmm.
and it is so brilliant. It basically provides framework around conflict resolution
Hmm.
that's easy enough for like you and I to have, for you to have, for me to have with my child. Like it's like a game, a set of game rules. It's easy to follow and it is so effective. So you can use this as it applies to spousal conflict with finances.
Yeah.
Um, but I've also used this plenty just with when it doesn't have anything to do with finances, just with in my relationships.
Yeah. So I'm super intrigued. What are the rules, or how do we? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So you'll have to cut me off if I go long, but I'll try to keep it simple. There's 4 rules.
Okay.
They are you you each get a turn or to say this, or you can
Okay.
do one at a time, but you state your observation,
Hmm.
your feeling, your need, and then your request. And each of those 4 things has kind of like some criteria around them. So for the first part of it, the observation,
Hmm.
one of the criteria is that it needs to be something that you have seen or heard. You, like, for example, you can't say like, well, I saw you be so rude to me. That's not something that you see or heard. So you have to be specific. Like,
Okay.
I heard you say blah blah blah. Very specific, so that
Okay.
you're not tainting it with your own
Perception of.
words.
Yeah.
Yes,
Got it.
perception. Thank
Okay.
you. And then for feelings and needs, there's actually word banks that you can pick from.
Oh.
And if you're skilled enough, you don't have to look them up, but I'm still at the level where like I would actually go to the list of available feelings
Yeah, I
and
use
needs.
sounds. Like I could be like, I felt, but that doesn't help anybody
Yeah.
probably.
Yes, so you'd be using the
Words.
word bank too. It's okay, you're not alone. But because a lot of times what we say is a feeling or a need that is not actually a feeling or a need. Like having to be really specific and follow the guidelines that the nonviolent communication offers. It's sort of like it's like chutes and ladders. If you mess up, you have to start at the beginning and follow the rules, and eventually you'll get to the end, but it has to be according to the way that this is set out. So I'm not sure if this is sounding like fun or ridiculous, but let me tell you, it works.
Interesting. How old is your son? Or you said you have a child?
I have a 12 and a 14-year-old, and
Okay.
I have used this with them multiple times, and they do kind of roll their eyes at me because it is like,
Because they're
talk about
preteens.
feelings a lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But let me tell you, we get through huge kind of big issues that I think could cause bigger problems, but we're able to get through them pretty easily by using this method.
That's amazing. Okay, so I'm going to try this on my 9-year-old and my 40-plus-year-old husband. So
Spouse. Yeah.
spouse. Yes. Okay, cool. So those are the first 2 rules, or is that like all of them that you have to use?
So yeah, do we have time for me to go through an example?
Yes, that'd be great.
Okay. So this is an example of a spouse that says, like, I'm so frustrated that I can't spend my money freely and you're not contributing equally, financially speaking, to our partnership. So common thing, kind of thing that happens, right?
Yep. Heard
so
that one.
that is not really a helpful way to phrase it. So if I were to rephrase it by using the nonviolent communication rules, it would go something like this. And it does sound nerdy, but just bear with me because it actually works. So the first one is observation. So I observed that my paychecks are being deposited into our family operations account, but it doesn't include a budget for my hobby of shopping. Okay.
Okay.
So moving on, that's an observation, something you saw or heard. Feeling. So I feel aggravated because I don't have shopping in our budget, and I feel resentful that I'm not pursuing a hobby that I love. Okay. Then there's a need. I have a need for independence to include space in our budget for me to fund my shopping hobby without feeling guilty or causing conflict. And then 4 is the request. And that also has to be something concrete. We didn't talk about that. So my request is, would you be willing to take additional work so that we might each build $500 a month into our budget to fund our own hobbies?
Very cool. I like that.
Different, right?
That is good.
It's so nerdy.
But I think that's the thing when we're talking about feelings or don't talk about feelings, is that sometimes it's just so confusing, and we're like, we don't even know why we're mad. We're just mad. And so that forces that to be put down very specifically. This is what I'm needing, and this is how it can be resolved.
Because we get stuck at like the feeling part, and we're not expressing ourselves the right way. We get stuck at like, you're not contributing, you're not helping, I can't do this, I can't do that. Well, those are, that's valid and everything. Right. It's just not helpful to get past it. And so this offers a way to really be, I can guarantee you that as nerdy as like my 4 things sounded, that presents so many new things to the spouse who's hearing it for the first time that they never heard with the first explanation, which is like, I can't do this, I'm frustrated with you.
Right. Yeah. It's like,
if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, that absolutely makes sense. Christina, this has been an absolute pleasure. We're going to have to do this for sure many, many times. But thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, it was so fun, Valerie. Thanks for having me.
Oh, great. Well, for everybody out there listening, we will join you next time.
Mariner Wealth Advisors, or MWA, is an SEC-registered investment advisor with its principal place of business in the state of Kansas. Registration of an investment advisor does not imply a certain level of skill or training. MWA is in compliance with the current notice filing requirements imposed upon registered investment advisors by those states in which MWA maintains clients. MWA may only transact business in those states in which it is notice filed or qualifies for an exemption or exclusion from notice filing requirements. Any subsequent direct communication by MWA with a prospective client shall be conducted by a representative that is either registered or qualifies for an exemption or exclusion from registration in the state where the prospective client resides. For additional information about MWA, including fees and services, please contact MWA or refer to the Investment Advisor Public Disclosure website at www.advisorinfo.sec.gov. Please read the disclosure statement carefully before you invest or send money. The views expressed in this podcast is for educational purposes only and do not take into account any individual personal, financial, legal, or tax considerations. As such, the information contained herein is not intended to be personal, legal, investment, or tax advice. Nothing herein should be relied upon as such, and there is no guarantee that any claims made will come to pass. The opinions are based on information and sources of information deemed to be reliable, but Mariner Wealth Advisors does not warrant the accuracy of the information. Asset allocation diversification is a strategy designed to manage risk, but it cannot ensure a profit or protect against a loss in a declining market. Certified Financial Planner, trademark, CFP, registered trademark, and federally registered CFP with flame design marks, collectively the CFP registered marks, are professional certification marks granted in the United States by Certified Financial Planner Board of Standards, Inc., also CFP Board. The CFP registered trademark certification is a voluntary certification. No federal or state law or regulation requires financial planners to hold the CFP certification.